What if I told you the reason you're stuck isn't your job, your boss, or the economy? Is it you? What if the chains you feel aren't around your hands but inside your mind? Jim Rohn once revealed the wealth secret that separates the rich from the poor, the free from the trapped. Work harder on yourself than on your job, because the moment you outgrow who you are, the world can no longer hold you where you've been. There comes a moment in every life when the mirror feels heavier than glass. When the reflection staring back at you isn't just skin and bone, but a haunting question. Am I growing, or am I merely surviving? Most people don't like to look too long, because the truth is often unbearable. They've been taught to work hard, to show up, to clock in and clock out, to chase the next paycheck, to survive the week, to keep their head just above water. They've been told, work on your job and you'll be safe. But Jim Rohn, with the clarity of a prophet, once shattered that illusion with a single truth. Work hard on your job, you'll make a living. Work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune. Think about that. A living or a fortune, comfort or greatness, survival or destiny. Which one do you want? Which one are you chasing? Most people sell their time. They rent out their hands, their hours, their bags, and yes, that may keep the lights on. It may keep food on the table, but it doesn't set you free. It doesn't give you mastery. It doesn't give you the wealth of character, discipline, and power that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Because here's the truth. Your job will feed you, but your personal growth will free you. Your boss can hand you a paycheck, but only you can hand yourself a transformation. And until you understand that, until you rewire your focus from working harder on the outside to building greater strength on the inside, you will always be at the mercy of someone else's system, someone else's approval, someone else's permission. Jim Rohn said it again and again. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't demand lighter burdens, demand a stronger back. Don't wait for circumstances to adjust in your favor. Adjust yourself to rise above any circumstance. This is the law of life. Imagine two workers. One puts in the same 8 hours every day, year after year. He works hard, but only on the tasks in front of him. He masters the checklist, he obeys the clock. And at the end of 30 years, he has a pension, a few promotions, maybe a title, but his life stagnant. No fortune, no freedom, no spark of greatness, just living. The other worker, though, he does something different. He works his 8 hours, but then he invests 2 more in himself. He reads, he studies, he writes down his goals, he listens to mentors, he sharpens his words, his mind, his body, his discipline. He sees his job not as a cage, but as fuel, a temporary stepping stone, a classroom for life. And at the end of 30 years, he doesn't just have a living. He has a legacy, he has wealth, he has character. He has become someone the world cannot ignore. That's the difference. One man rented himself out, the other built himself up. One chased safety, the other pursued destiny. The great tragedy of our time is not that people fail. Failure after. All is a teacher. The real tragedy is that people aim too low and succeed. They aim for comfort, and they get it. They aim for wages and they get them. They aim for survival and they survive. But they never stretch. They never rise. They never unlock the immense power buried inside. And here's the secret. Jim Rohn. I knew your income, your influence, your impact. They will rarely exceed the level of your personal growth. The world doesn't pay you for time. It pays you for value. And value comes only when you sharpen yourself. When you stretch yourself, when you become more than you were yesterday. So the question is, not how hard are you working? The real question is, what are you working on? Are you working on tasks that expire the moment you clock out, or are you working on the person who will outlive every paycheck? Listen, the world is shifting fast. Machines can do jobs, algorithms can do jobs, but no machine can replace vision. No algorithm can replace discipline. No technology can replace a human being. who has forged himself through fire, who has grown into a leader, who has worked relentlessly on the invisible things that make all the visible things possible. When you work harder on yourself than on your job, you stop being replaceable. You stop being ordinary. You become rare, and rarity is valuable. Rarity is rewarded. Rarity is magnetic. So how do you do it? You start with one decision: to become the architect of yourself, to refuse the trap of comfort, to rise above the crowd that is lulled to sleep by the promise of a steady paycheck. You must wake up to a higher truth. The greatest asset you will ever own is you. Your mind, your body, your discipline, your character, your vision. Everything else flows from that. The better you build, a better job. A stronger you build, a stronger income. The wiser you build, a greater destiny. But the reverse is never true. A job will never build a better you. A paycheck will never sharpen your soul. That's why the work must be personal. That's why the grind must be internal. And yes, it is harder. Yes, it takes discipline. Yes, it means trading television for books, trading comfort for growth, trading ease for transformation. But what is the alternative? To drift, to wait, to spend decades renting yourself out while the greatness inside you rots away unused. Jim Rohn once said, "Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom." That is the code. That is the secret. That is the path. Because when you build yourself, problems don't shrink, but you grow. Challenges don't vanish, but you rise. The world doesn't get easier, but you become stronger. And that strength, that's what brings freedom. That's what turns a living into a fortune. Think about a tree. The taller it grows, the deeper its roots must go. If it doesn't push down, it cannot push up. If it doesn't strengthen within, it cannot expand without. Human beings are no different. You cannot rise higher than the roots you've dug within. So while others chase the surface, you must dive into the depths. While others settle for a paycheck, you must demand transformation. While others dream of fortune, you must build the character that fortune requires. Because fortune is not money. Fortune is becoming the kind of person who can command money, who can create wealth, who can carry responsibility, who can hold vision, who can withstand storms. Fortune is freedom. Fortune is an influence. Fortune is mastery. Fortune is you, unlocked. And here is the uncomfortable truth. You will never get paid more than the value you bring. If you want more, you must become more. If you want change, you must change. If you want freedom, you must first win it inside. Work harder on yourself than on your job. That is the command. That is the challenge. That is the dividing line between those who live small and those who live unforgettable lives. So the question is no longer, how hard are you working at your job? The real question, the only question, is this: how hard are you working on you? Because your job will make you a living, but only you can make yourself a fortune. The time is now. The choice is yours. Will you remain an employee of survival, or will you become the architect of destiny?